Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Millennial Money. This week, Damien and I are going to talk about top tips and the best ways to pay off credit card debt. So one of the first tips that Damien's going to talk to you about is actually a bit of a shocker, and it's really interesting. It's something that we should all know and you may not have realised. So Damien, what's that tip?
Right, I'm a bit of a maths geek. It comes down to a bit of number crunching. Now, the average UK debt on a credit card is $6,400. So that might make you feel a bit better, because I know everybody thinks they've got the highest credit card bill in the world, but the average in the UK is $6,400, and the typical interest rate on that is 17.43%. Now, what normally happens is people will pay the minimum off a month that they're allowed, and that minimum amount is usually a percentage of the overall debt. So in this example, it would be about £150 a month. Now, if you pay off £150 this month, then next month what happens, because your debt's slightly lower, you'll probably pay something like £49, £48 off. Then it keeps decreasing to £47, £46. What it means, it takes you ages to repay the debt. So the amount of time is surprisingly long. It's 33 years and 4 months to pay that debt off, an average credit card debt in the UK using that minimum payment method. Now, there's a very simple trick you can do to cut not only the amount of interest you pay, but actually you pay off the debt far quicker. If you go and see or ring your credit card company and you say to them, look, I want to pay a fixed amount that's equivalent to the £150 I'm going to pay this month forever. So if you think about it, if you could afford the minimum payment of £150 this month, rather than letting it drop down each month, just keep it fixed. If you do that and pay £150 off your debt every month, it will take you just 5 years and 4 months to repay that debt completely. And not only that, it will save you £5,259 in interest over the lifetime of the debt, and you'll pay it off 28 years quicker. Now, that's an incredible stat, a credible number, and it just comes down to you paying a fixed amount. And I've always tried to use an analogy of sort of thinking about debt and what it means. If you go and buy a sandwich and it costs you £3, by using the minimum payment method that credit cards love you to use, then it will take you years to repay that, but it would also cost you £6 in interest, and the amount of time it would actually take you is 19 years. So that's why they want you to pay the minimum amount, because they make so much money off you. So don't let them. Pay a fixed amount and do that for the lifetime of the debt until you repay it. Okay, on to the next tip. Prioritising debt. Now, most people have debts on more than one credit card, so that's just life. There's nothing wrong with that. We shouldn't make people feel bad about that sort of thing. What you need to do if you want to repay debt is you should prioritise them. So you should order the debt from the one with the highest interest rate to the lowest. Draw up a list, highest to lowest. Then let's say you had that £150 to apply to your debts and repay them each month. What you need to do is pay the minimum amount you're allowed to on the lower interest rate cards, and on the top one you pay the most that you are able to, the most you can budget for. Then what will happen is, once you've cleared that debt, you then take that money and you apply it to the next credit card, and then when you repay that, you then apply that amount to the next one. So what happens is, as you go down this little ladder, it's a snowballing effect. You apply more and more of your budget to the credit card that you're basically tackling. So by prioritising, you'll be able to clear your debts and you'll be able to pay less interest. The other thing is, make sure you set up direct debit so you pay those minimums. If you don't, then you could default on a payment, which would impact your credit card. Now, we're going to go on to budgeting here. This is Lauren's forte. She knows more about this than pretty much anybody I know, and some of the tech companies out there that have some brilliant solutions.
Yeah, so another tip for paying off your credit card debt is to budget. So we've got quite a lot of apps out there at the moment, and they're either on the web or an app for your mobile phone. So if you downloaded something like Emma or Yolt, you'll be able to track your spending. So if you don't want to take out another bank account like with Monzo or Starling Bank, you can download these other apps and then you can look at how you spend your money each month. So they're a great insight into seeing where your money goes, so you can categorise your spending and realise, oh, I'm spending £150 to £200 a month on food at work, and you can look to cut back on that. So it's a good insight into your spending, and as soon as you know where your money's going, that's when you can start to tackle your debt and cutting back on things that you're paying out for, because it kind of shocks you into realising you're spending too much money on things that you don't necessarily need.
One thing I'd just add on that is to summarise what Lauren just said, if you can't quantify it, you can't control it. That's the sort of mantra to remember. And things like the apps and tools that Lauren has mentioned, and she's reviewed them all, haven't you? So they're all on the website. Go and look at them. You can read Lauren's reviews, moneytothemasses.com. Then they enable you to quantify your spending so you can control it, to be able to cut back on the things that you don't need to spend, but also build a budget to tackle debt.
Yeah, so, and then another tip, a final tip, I would look to do a balance transfer for your credit card. So a lot of people don't actually realise this. You can transfer your credit card balance to another card with 0% interest. You avoid paying all of the high interest fees that you pay on your current credit card. So if you want to find out more information about that, tune into next week's Millennial Money video, because we'll be talking all about balance transfer credit cards and how you can go about setting one up and transferring your balance over to them. So I think that's it for this week's Millennial Money video. So thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on our social media sites, our Facebook, Money to the Masses, our Instagram, Money to the Masses, and our Twitter @MoneyToTheMasses with the number 2. Any questions, email me, lauren@moneytothemasses.com. See you next week.
See you next week.